Good evening. Patrick here, 8 Questions With. It is a cold Thursday here in southeastern Michigan tonight. Temperatures say a cloudy and 36, but let me tell you, it's a lot colder than 36. It maybe say 36, probably feels like 26. So tonight we will be talking. I'll be joined by our special co-host. She is going to come and join us again. Some of you might remember Katie was on the last time we had a show with Brenda, Possum Mom, and Katie has now come back and she's joining me for our interview with Jake Jolley because it is because of Katie from Popping the Popcorn that I got this interview. She is the one that gave me the tip off about clay zombies and interviewing Jake. She planned on having them on her channel, and she said, but she said I could, I take them first. So I was like, wow, thank you. Okay. So I went and saw Clay Zombies, and I went and offered an interview spot to Jake, and he graciously accepted it. Good evening, Professor. How are you? We are doing a little chilly today. It is cold here. Definitely colder than it was the last 2 days. In fact, I do believe that will probably be Katie now. It is.
Hey,
There she is.
how you doing?
Good. I was just telling her how I got this interview because of you, and you gave me the tip off, and you were going to interview Jake first, and then you said I could have the first crack at it, and I said, oh, I'll do that only if you co-host.
Right.
So we could all benefit from it, and you will be having him on your show, I think, in the future, right? You're going to do an interview with him down the line.
Yeah, at this point.
But tonight we get him, and looking forward to this. Great. The professor says they got a ton of rain, and then it got cold. Yeah, California, Mexico getting pounded.
We're getting it. We're getting it today. We're getting like snow and rain.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst. Because you don't know if you're coming or going. Snow, and then it freezes, then you're on ice, and yeah. I hate it. I rather drive in snow than just ice. Whatever this is, there's an ice storm. Oh man, yeah, I didn't like that. I would leave if I had to go anywhere. If I had to go to work or anything, I would always leave way early whenever they had that ice.
Right. Exactly. Hey, Chadwick. Hey, Professor.
Chadwick is here. Thank you for coming back, Chadwick. I've not seen you for a little bit, so it's good to see you. So this is our last show of the week. Jake Jolley. He has made a instant cult classic called Clay Zombies. That movie is a hoot.
Yeah, it is. I really like that movie.
That made me laugh. I was really impressed with he got to cast Diane Franklin, who has starred in some really big movies in the past, and so it was really cool not only seeing her but her having a really good part too.
Right.
Yeah, just not that typical one scene, the one scene and then that's it. But then you can sit there and say they're in their movie. I appreciate the fact that he wrote her a good part, and she looked like she was having an absolute blast. Yeah. And you know what? What I really liked about Clay Zombies is the fact that it was fresh. It was something different.
Me too.
It wasn't the same old zombie.
Right. Yeah. I liked how he made like the clay zombies and like how it was like live action and like clay action as well. It was kind of cool.
Touch the clay, have a bad day.
Yeah, this one's on Tubi. If you guys have Tubi, it's on Tubi. You can watch it on there for free.
Yes. But I also put the website on there too, which I should do that now. They are, and believe me, this is really cool too. they are selling they are selling copies of the movie. So
yeah, I have to go get myself a copy of it.
here it is right here. I'm dropping it in the chat. Clayzombies.com. You can go over there and pick it up. That is a rare thing now. That's before you just take it for granted that you can just pick up a copy from the filmmaker or whatnot. But it's not always that way anymore. Not even film companies or directors such as Jake. They just can't really afford to put out Blu-rays because they can't distribute them. There's no distributor.
Right.
Not unless you do a website, and not unless you get out there and beat the horse and tell everybody you know, and hopefully they'll tell everybody they know, and so on, that they're selling a movie.
Right.
All right.
I agree with you.
Okay. Well, he is here a little early, but you know how it goes here on 8 Questions With. As soon as the guest gets here, we go ahead and put them up. So we'll just make some light talk for about 10 minutes or so before we start our interview. Put your hands together and welcome our guest, filmmaker Jake Jolley. Jake Danger Jolley.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Professor. That's interesting.
Oh.
Greetings.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Ta-da! All right.
Excited
Party going on now.
Yeah, definitely excited to finally meet you guys after however long it's been.
Couple weeks at least.
Yeah, it's been about I think it's been about a month since we started talking to each other. Yeah. And nice meeting you too. And we were singing the praises of Clay Zombies. So I guess the first question I have, so what's in the water in Ohio that is making there's so many fun film directors making so many fun movies?
I think it's just it seemed, well, for me anyway, it seemed like a lot of groups and different movies started getting filmed in around 2016, 2017. I personally, I used to make videos and short films and goofy videos with my brother, and kind of gave up on it. I was like, well, this will never be a career. I'll just, get a normal job I like, and, just kind of move on with my life. But then in like 2017, this guy came to town making this movie called False Flag. And that's kind of, I was hearing about it on Facebook and all these different social media, outlets. And it was being filmed in London, Ohio. So all these people were going to be as extras. And that's kind of where I got the bug, is how much fun it was to be on set, to be an extra. Like one night I went and was a cop, or one night I went and I was, a street protester, and just hanging out with the extras and the excitement of the set. I was like, wow, this is great. And the other thing was, I saw the director was actually doing it. I think he was 2 years younger than me at the time. And I was like, this guy's killing it. He's 2 years younger than me. And, not that matters, but I was thinking, I told myself I should just give up and not make a movie, but here he's doing it and giving me inspiration to do it. So that's kind of when I got into making short films and getting closer to making Clay Zombies. But to answer your question, I don't want to get off track. I think that's kind of what it is. There was a movie made here called First Kill, starring Bruce Willis. And there was a Gotti movie with John Travolta made here. And I think it just kind of got Ohio excited. And a lot of directors were like, whoa, they're making these movies here in Ohio. Like, I think I can too. So.
Yeah, I remember that First Kill. I had talked to actually a young actor, Dominic Cancelleri, who was in that movie. He had a small role as a ambulance attendant, paramedic. Yeah, I remember that movie. I have it actually. But yeah, it does seem like was there any sort of incentives? Was there anything like Ohio said that they would they give you back money, or to investors or filmmakers? Is there like a that sort of deal in place?
I think that is true. I think we're definitely cheaper here, and I think we're definitely less stuck up about ourselves as New York and Chicago and those guys are. I think we're a lot more permit friendly, and like you said, cost friendly. I think there are tax rebates. I'm more in the indie world, so I'm not exactly sure what deals the big studios can get. But yeah, I think so because a lot of people are coming here. I know Emilio Estevez just shot something here 2 years ago, and Mark Ruffalo shot something here a year ago. So there must be a reason.
Right.
Well, go ahead, Katie.
I was gonna say, right? I heard about them doing something over there.
Yeah.
So I mean, as far as yeah, because I mean, I just know that there's been seems like a lot of fun movies coming out of Ohio. Two of our favorites were Clown Town. I think there was one called Ouija. There's another one called of course you probably heard this one, Attack of the Killer Donuts. And then there's in what's the other one? That's the Killer Sandwich.
Killer Sandwich. I haven't heard that
Yeah,
one.
Oh, Inhumanwich? Is that maybe
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
Killer
what I was
Sloppy
gonna
Joe.
think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's I didn't even know about those ones. I mean, I don't have you guys heard of Notzilla? It's like a Godzilla
No.
parody that was made here. Um, there's all kinds. I think the great thing is, just the access to digital cameras now, DSLR cameras where you can get a pretty good, you know, pretty cinematic shot with these, not necessarily cheap, but not, $50,000 cameras. So a lot of people here have creative ideas outside the norm, and they finally have, affordable technology to make them. So they're just taking the chance.
Yeah, yeah. I think digital cameras really did change the playing field for independent filmmakers. I mean, it gave them a chance. Before, you know, having a $50,000 budget with shooting regular film, that was you had to be so damn careful. With a digital camera, it seems like $50,000 can translate to like 100,000 because you don't have to worry about the cost of film.
Yeah, exactly. And I there's a local filmmaker here named William Lee. He makes a lot of kung fu movies and stuff. He's been making movies since the '80s when he was 19, and he was at his last premiere. He had a movie in the '80. I think it was between '88 and '89 or something like that, called Treasure the Ninja, and it became a cult hit. So now, 30 something years later, he made Treasure of the Ninja 2, and I went to that premiere. And he was talking about in the '80s, he had to take the roll of film, look at it under a light, get out a pair of film snipping scissors. I forget what he called them. Cut that film, tape shots together. And I was like, wow, he's like, there was no digital editing, and it really put things in perspective.
You got a question, Katie?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what was the longest like scene that you guys took? How long did the longest scene take to make in the movie?
The longest scene in Clay Zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think. Well, I know for whatever reason the cabin scene where everybody's kind of meeting each other for the first time and talking.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of went I went a little overboard with coverage. So I think we were shooting just that scene for, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 6 hours or something like that. And plus, when Nancy came walking in slow motion and we turned the fan on her and
Mm-hmm.
put the pink light on her, we were all cracking up so hard, and just things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that probably took the longest, just because I would, we would do a line, then I would move the camera and get a close up of somebody. And there were so many characters, and I wanted to make sure I got as much coverage as possible. So even though it was a lot of talking, I think that was kind of the longest scene.
Nice.
Did you
It was
do
a good.
any? Go ahead, Katie. Sorry.
I was gonna say it was a good scene as well. I liked it.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Yeah, it's
welcome.
kind of hard because it's every movie has to have like an exposition scene where people like you kind of got to move the plot along and there's talking, but you don't want there to be too much talking because then people are going to get bored. So that scene I spent the most time editing to make it not not feel like too much talking and the plot was moving forward. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that because it was the hardest to edit too. So
I was gonna say with the introduction of the clay zombies, I think it's safe to say that as soon as you see them for the first time, you're not going to be bored. You're not going to be bored in the movie.
No,
No, no.
I agree too.
Yeah, you're hooked because it was so much fun.
Hmm.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's I really appreciate you saying that. And Patrick and Katie, that's you guys are like who I made the movie. Well, I made the movie for me selfishly. I'll be honest. I love goofy movies where you can just have fun, and
Hmm.
I wanted to throw as many fun characters I could think of into it. And it's so to hear you guys say that, and had fun with it, and you liked the clay zombies, because some people don't get it. They're like, "What?" It's kind of
Hmm.
weird. What's a clay zombie? But it's just fun. Like, let's have some fun. It's goofy. So
Hmm.
that's great.
Yeah, I was
I
telling Patrick before we started, I was like, I liked how it was like live action and like clay at the same time because you don't find that a lot. And I find that like very unique. And I like unique movies. I know that there's a lot of unique movies that some people may not like, but I really like unique movies because it just shows how your mind works and how creative you are.
Oh,
So
thank you.
you're welcome.
I
it seems like there's like I said, it seems like in Ohio more recently from anywhere else that we see movies like this are being made, and I think they're so much fun. I mean, well, you can come out there and make a movie that's just like flies, and it has a great little premise, and it has a lot of actors that are they're giving it their all, and it's you could definitely see there's a lot of love there. People wanted to be on your set, like you didn't see anybody in your movie at all. Even in their acting or they're reading their dialogue, you didn't sense any boredom or any like, what am I doing here? You sense all happiness, all joy, and as a viewer, we picked up on it.
Hmm.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah. I Well, that's the thing. I was inspired by clay zombies by the skeleton scene in the Ray Harryhausen movie, Jason and the Argonauts. With the skeleton scene where they're fighting. And I
Right.
remember as a kid, my dad was like, "Hey, come check this out." And I'm seeing these stop motion skeletons fight. These soldiers with swords. So I was trying to think of like what I wanted to do a zombie movie, but I knew it cost a lot of money to do. To give actors zombie makeup, and I remembered that skeleton scene, and I knew how to do a little bit of stop motion. So with those ideas kind of combined, and loving Gumby and other claymation things from when I was a kid, that's kind of where the idea came. Kind of borrowing some
Hmm.
ideas and putting my own spin on it. And as far as the cast, like you said, a lot of them were either actors I already knew or friends who I thought could kill it, and then other actors I reached out to. But yeah, everybody on my movie, I like them and I care for them. There's no like, oh, I've got this story where I really hate this guy or somebody did something terrible. We all had a lot of fun, and I'm still friends with everybody to this day and try to check in on everyone.
Um,
Yeah, that's awesome. And it just shows that you actually cared for them and everything. It shows like I like movies. I appreciate movies that like that because you can tell that they care for their director and you can tell that like the characters play very well off each other as well.
mhm. Yeah, was that a core group of actors that they've acted together before? You said you had to make a few calls out, to look for actors. How many people did you have to bring in from the outside for the movie?
Um, well, gonna try not to. So, like Emilio, the main villain, he's one of the first actors I ever worked with, and I had known him when I was like a freshman in high school, and he was a senior, and that was kind of it. And I was looking for an actor for a short, and someone was like, "You remember Gabe, right? Gabe Kirk, and he's an actor." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I reached out to him, and he kind of remembered me. But he's part of my core group, and you know, Alex, who played Timothy, he was like my friend. We kind of worked on a short together and stuff. My brother and some other, but the actors I reached out to, one that I'd seen in a bunch of shorts, and I'd never worked with him before, but I thought he was truly hilarious, was Jazzy Jackson, who plays Kristoff, the Quybrid notary vampire, part werewolf, part warlock. So I reached out to him and I said, I got this crazy part where, this guy says he's, these different crazy, he's part vampire, part werewolf. I was like, and I'd never talked to him. I was like, would you have any interest? And, he was like, oh, this sounds great. Send me a script. And I was really excited when he joined. And Dr. Porcelain, the redheaded, doctor who liked to test on animals, I reached out to her.
Yeah, she was a hoot. She was like, yeah, she was funny as hell.
Yeah, I agree.
And some of my producers cast some people for me that I hadn't met. They were like, this guy will be great. Like, just trust me. And like the the kind of the ditzy but well-meaning secretary when they're trying to sneak into the compound, and she's just like, oh, well, go ahead and go in. Dawn, I hadn't met her. And Kira, who plays kind of the shadowy boss in the mid-credits scene, I hadn't met her yet. I guess the big one I'd never worked with before, the big name, I guess, is Diane Franklin. And the only Sorry, were you going to say something, Patrick?
No, I was going to let you finish your thought. I was impressed with that.
Yeah, me too.
She's the best. It was really weird because the pandemic had just happened, and nobody knew what to do. And I had a bunch of footage, but the movie wasn't done because I had planned on doing pickups in January of 2020. Well, January came around and nobody's really filming. Everybody's kind of scared, and pandemic happened and everything. So I was listening to the news one day, and they were saying that all these actors were just, sitting at home because they didn't know what to do with sets yet. I don't think it wasn't till mid-May or something that Tyler Perry was able to open his studios back up with all the COVID protocols and everything. But anyway, they were saying all these actors didn't have anything to do because the sets weren't open. And I was like, man, who is like my favorite actress? And my favorite movies are Better Off Dead and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And she I was like, well, it's Diane Franklin for, playing Monique in Better Off Dead. So I ended up finding like her Facebook and her Twitter and her Instagram. And I found, I just sent a message to each one, and I tried not to be creepy. I just said, I'm sending these to all just because I want to ask you. And, and I would have never been brave enough to do that. But I was thinking like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. All these people are getting sick. I could die tomorrow, or it could be Mad Max world. So why not reach out to my favorite actress now,
Right. That's exactly how I felt when I reached out to you.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, I did the same thing because I don't know, like, being a YouTuber, Patrick will tell you, sometimes we don't know how actors or directors or screenwriters or anything are going to react to us if we try to reach out to them to, like, have an interview or just talk about their movie. So we're happy that you reached out to us, or we reached out to you, and you're like, okay, sure.
Yeah, you guys have great channels, great personalities. I've actually become that's what's cool, is when you get in a situation like this and you get to meet other people whose content you like as well. So no, I thought it was fun. And and if you ever want to talk to a director about their movie and they say no, I don't know what's wrong with them. We love talking about our movies. That's
it's really different. I mean, the as far as that goes, I mean, honestly, I could understand. If someone came up to me, 10 years ago and sit there and say, like, like a director will come talk to a small podcast like this one, and there might be 10 to 15 people there watching it. I would have never believed that the director would have stayed. I thought the director would sit there and say, unless there's like 200 or 300 people, I'm not gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
But now in today's world, publicity being what it is, it's really refreshing to see directors and actors and whatnot. They will do shows like this and help get the word out, because they know that as soon as they're done talking, that this will go out on the web. Now you can type in the name of Jake Jolley and this interview will come up, and it benefits both you and the podcaster, and it's free. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah. And yep, that's one of the great things of even starting my filmmaking journey is all the all the different people I've got to meet, all the different awesome podcasts I've got to join. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely.
How long did it take you to write the script?
Um, Gosh, I always get kind of weird because when I try to explain it, because so remember how I told you I was on that set in like 2016 and got inspired to
Mm-hmm.
make movies and everything. So I was like, I told my brother, I'm like, I think I'm going to make this short, and it's going to be about these stop motion zombies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be really goofy. And he's like, I don't really know, like everything you said to me doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
and, uh, and he ended up telling me after the movie was done, he's like, okay, I can see what you meant now, but when you were just sitting there explaining to me about something about clay zombies, it sounded
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So anyway, in 2016, I just took a camera. I didn't even really know what to do. Um, I knew that there needed to be a sheriff who was really
Mm-hmm.
charismatic, and that ended up being actor David Ogrodowski, one of the first, you know,
Mm-hmm.
working actors I'd worked with. He's Pittsburgh based, but I had met him on that movie I was telling you guys about,
Mm-hmm.
and so I reached out to him to play the sheriff. So I wrote that 15-minute short in 2016, and then I went to film festivals with it. Well, the thing is, I was so new to filmmaking that I didn't realize it as hard as we worked on it and as proud of it as I am, it probably really wasn't ready for film at festivals yet. It was,
Right.
but it was a great first try. And the the festivals I did get into, people laughed and they enjoyed the goofiness of it, because at a lot of film festivals, they cover very serious topics with their short films, and
Mm-hmm.
people kind of have to sit there and they're not really allowed to laugh. It's so serious. So as soon as they see clay zombies on the screen, it's like this huge release because they know they can laugh now and it's not something they got to be serious. And I made a lot of friends at these different film festivals. And then they were like, well, why don't we make a sequel to Clay Zombies, Jake? The other one was fun, and like, we'll
Mm-hmm.
help you now. So I made um, another short film, it's like a prequel,
Mm-hmm.
and that did some more festivals, met some more people, and they're like, why don't you make it a feature? And I was thinking, well, it's just a lot of fun. Why don't we make it a feature? And so I wrote 45 more pages, and that probably took me 3 months, I think, because I had wrote one. I sent it to my wife and my brother and one of uh, my other friends, Justin Little, who plays Cassidy in the movie. They gave me some notes, and I rewrote it. So technically, I guess you could say it took like years, because it was kind of shorts building on top of each other, and then a big 45 last page drop in the bucket. So 4 years, I guess.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, though.
I did.
It just shows that you were passionate about it and wanted it to be done.
You used a lot of your family in the movie. So I mean, that also it must have
Mm-hmm.
indicate that they understood your passion for filmmaking. They saw that you were pursuing it. Um, and I think it's cool that they came out there and played several key roles for you on the production.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. Uh, because my wife did compose the music for the movie as well. So it was always fun when, you know, we'd be having downtime or whatever, and I'd be like, "Hey, that one scene still needs a song."
Well, I love the music though, because I think a lot of it also, as I'm a music person, and I love, like, you could tell her that I love the like score to the movie.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, she'll like that. Yeah, she you know, she went to school for music, and she's a drummer and really good at keyboard. And yeah, my brother played the news reporter in the movie, and my wife played the girl with the barriers and everything. So yeah, it was great. And having my real dog Sandy in the movie was awesome. It was a little hard once she passed away to keep editing it and watching it sometimes, but
Yeah.
you know, but
Mhm.
that's I'm still glad she's in it. You know, it's pretty cool.
She's immortalized in celluloid.
Yes.
Well, I was gonna say that's a great memory you have with her, because then you could just play it anytime and just think of her when you play it.
Battling clay zombies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back real quick to the Diane Franklin. So how long did it take for her to respond to you? You know, like, you know, after you made contact with her, how long, you know, how did that go? Negotiations go?
They went well because, well, what was funny is I basically had, you know, a good amount of the movie filmed, like enough to make a trailer. So I sent her the trailer. I sent her some poster art. I sent her like an email just saying I was a fan and what character I wanted to play. And that was a big thing, which she said, you know, you were able to see me as like another cool character, like a DJ. I'm not sure other people would have like an open mind to think like, you know, of me as a DJ because, you know, you know, because I guess one thing I didn't realize is even when you are a pretty actress, sometimes you get typecast. And, you know, obviously
Hmm.
I didn't know that, but I found that out from her and other actresses that, you know, sometimes they'll go for something a little different and they're like, well, you know, you're too pretty or too beautiful to play this or that. And I was like, I would have never thought of that. But anyway, I think it was about 2 days when she finally emailed me back and she just asked for a script. And then after that, she was really nice and said she'd laughed out loud reading the script and she thought it was, you know, a wild idea and she'd always wanted to be in a zombie movie. So they went really well. She is like the ultimate of meet your heroes where you will not be disappointed at all. You're going to like her even more. Awesome type of person.
What was it like meeting her for the first time in person? Were you Jake the director or Jake the fanboy?
That's what I was about ready to say.
She was really nice after we had filmed some scenes because I didn't actually get to meet her in person until the premiere. She filmed all of her stuff in LA and sent it to me, and
Oh wow!
she met Fire Tiger in LA for the music video. So I hadn't got to meet her until the premiere. But I'd got my fangirling slash fanboying out of my system when we had talked on the phone the first couple times. She just kind of let me go. I was like, "Oh, I loved you and better off
Ten
dead."
hours later, right?
Yeah, and then all right, go ahead. Now let's talk about the movie.
Uh, let's see. Hobbs is sitting there saying he understands typecasting. Being a big and attractive guy, people always ask me to do mukbangs on my channel. I'm gonna let Katie. You have any comments about that?
No. I think he's just trying to be silly.
That's Hobbs. Yeah, I did not realize that. And the one thing I was going to say that I really liked is the same thing I really like from another director we know, Christopher Moore, is the fact that you wrote her a part. You didn't write her a cameo. You wrote her an actual part with several scenes and good dialogue. Um, a lot of times independent directors, they really struggle. I don't know if it's because of the budget or whatever, but they'll get that one name actor, shoot one little scene, and then plaster it on the cover saying, guess what, and it's like they're not in the movie but for 30 seconds. And I really appreciated that more than anything else, at the fact that that Diane was in there and she's able to get out there and show she still has some chops.
Oh yeah, and she's in another really good one. I don't have anything to do with this movie at all, but there's another movie called The Final Interview she's in that's fantastic, where she plays like a news channel director in the '80s. I think it came out like 2 years ago, but yeah, that's what was so important to me is the DJ Skatewell part. I mean, it's not the most lines, but it's as I kind of told her back and forth when we were talking about the part, I was like, this is the kind of person where all these, as goofy as it is to us, the clay apocalypse is real for these people, and they're sad and they're scared. But when they turn the radio on, or turn on whatever they have that still works, and see you, it gives them hope. So it's really important to me to have this likable, charismatic actress in this role, and I think that's another reason why she agreed to hop on. And yeah, it's it to me. It is an important part, and I think she killed it.
I agree. She did an amazing job in it, and it just makes me love her even more.
Yeah,
A lot of the
she's,
cool stuff
she's
we kept.
iconic.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Patrick?
She's iconic.
Absolutely, that's what I would tell her. And a lot of the cool stuff in the movie she improv, like the lighters up thing, where she flips the lighter, and I was
Right.
just like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And
It
oh
felt like, she actually, I was, thinking here that what I really liked about it too, it really felt like she's almost like, not quite, she's had her own spin on it, of course, but it did remind me a lot of Adrienne Barbeau from The Fog.
oh
You know,
yeah. Gosh, it's been a while since I've seen that, but I'll have to check that out.
yeah, had the same vibe to it. Um, tell us about tell us about the idea. Where did you get the idea for Clay Zombies at?
So I wanted to do a zombie like movie because I really like the just the genre in general. Like Dawn of the Dead for the 1978 version and Night of the Living Dead were like two of my favorite movies, and I really liked what I really liked about zombie movies, opposed to other horror stuff, is it a lot of times people who would never associate with each other you have to, because there's this common threat, and like whatever differences they'd usually have, they have to put them aside. Maybe not so much in Night of the Living Dead because those guys get in a lot of arguments, but Dawn of the Dead, they kind of put their differences aside. And so I want to do something like that with a lot of characters who have to come together. And I knew I didn't have enough money to do the expensive zombie makeup effects. And so one day I was dreaming, and I was daydreaming, and I was thinking like, oh, what could I do, and that I could afford. And I remembered the Ray Harryhausen scene, and with the skeletons and Jason and the Argonauts, and that's kind of what ended up kind of spurring an idea in my head. And I was like, well, it's going to be hard to animate these zombies and the people, live action people, and all this. And so, how about if the zombies touch the skin, that also makes them turn into a clay zombie as well? And that kind of launched the idea of clay zombies, where not only if they bite you, if they touch you, they turn you into one. And I wanted to make it this hilarious, comedy, and that's kind of where it came from.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you came up with that, because it's really cool to see like that, and it's just part of your imagination, even though that you're daydreaming. It was just part of your imagination, and I think that's very unique.
Yeah, thank you. I
You're
remember
welcome.
telling my friend Chad, we were at the same job during that time when I thought of it, and I remember we were both big Walking Dead fans, and I came in and I was like, I have this idea about these clay zombies, and if they touch you, you turn into one. And he's like, oh my gosh, like that's an insane idea, like let's do it. And he plays Chad in the movie, and anyway, it was cool.
How did you animate your zombies? With this? I mean, I know that was it practical or was it all CGI?
Most of it was practical. I So I would make a it's called armature wire. It's like a
Hmm.
bendable metal wire, and I would make a zombie frame, like a body, and then I would put clay on it, and I would there's these weighted rigs that can hold up your we call them puppets, your clay puppet, even though it's not a anyway. Uh, so it holds up your puppet, and you can animate it, and I would animate the zombies in front of a blue screen and then insert them into the scenes later. And there are some CGI zombies, but it's usually only in the scenes with big crowds because I'd already been working on it for a few years, and I was like, if I do all these crowds, it's going to take so much more time. So I kind of cheated a little bit and had my friend do some CGI zombies in the background. But for the most part, they're practical.
That's really cool that you came up with the practical part, and it tells that you like put a lot of thought into the movie as well. And that's why I really appreciated it, was because you don't see that nowadays. Like people use like CGI a lot, and I'm more of like the 80s like movie genre type of person where they use practical effects, and that's why I really appreciated it.
Yeah, the stop motion movies from the '60s, the Ray Harryhausen. I mean, that's such a homage to him. It's such a because you're right. I mean, those movies back then. I mean, even today, those movies are fantastic. I mean, they're fun. Yes, they're stop motion, but if you're a fan, as a fan of of that kind of filmmaking, I mean, I appreciate how much dedication and time, because that took a long time to film. That's not an easy film, working with clay animation or stop motion. That's really really hard. Uh, did you shoot that with the digital camera as well, or did you have to use different equipment for to shoot the claymation?
I did use the same camera because I wanted it to look have the same look, and so I did use the same camera and try to use the same lenses, um, just because I was afraid if I used a different camera, it would look too different or it would be really hard to match them up. I did use it's a digital. Well, I keep wanting to show you guys with my hands, but I don't have anything in my hands. But
It's all
it's
good.
like a clicker, and I would have that clicker taped to my table, and the camera, like here, and I'd be animating it. I'd move the zombie, click my clicker, move the zombie, click my clicker, and that's how they did it back in the day. Except they had an actual analog clicker.
God, man, how long did it take for you? Did the scenes with the animation, the claymation, that take you longer than shoot it with the human side of it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, so let's see. Do you guys remember the part where the sheriff's in the white and red room and he's like killing
Hmm.
all the zombies with different weapons?
Yes.
Hmm.
So I think just the part where it's like a 3 second shot where it shows the drill going into the zombie's face. That took me like 16 hours. Uh,
Oh wow.
Wow.
from like animating it, then putting it into the computer and adding blood, like all that took like 16 hours. The day of filming, David Gradowski playing Sheriff Locke, like killing all the zombies, I think that took 4 hours. Uh, and that was just one shot of me animating that took 16. So, I mean, I think it took me 3 weeks to animate the barbershop scene. And I don't know.
So you were the DP as well as the director then?
Well, honestly, it was kind of broken up because I did shoot some of it, but like a lot of it was the majority was this really great cinematographer named Daniel Steeman. He actually won an Emmy for something he did in college. He's fantastic, like awesome cinematographer. And but then when he wasn't available, I did film. Uh, you know, pick up shots, or just,
Mhm.
if scheduling conflicts and he couldn't make it, I would film. But I guess you could say I did all the cinematography of the zombies. Yeah, I did do that.
Um, that-
Yeah, but it's really cool though. I love movies that have like really good cinematography, and this movie had pretty good cinematography through the whole thing. And it actually made you like want to be in like this town with the zombie apocalypse and stuff.
yeah, I agree with Katie. I thought the cinematography was well done. Um, I take it that this movie was not done on a single location, or single shoot. I take it that it took you a while to make this movie. How long did it take you from day one to wrap? Did it take for you to make the film?
Well, see, that's kind of where it gets a little weird again, because some parts of it I had shot in like 2018 because they were part of one of the shorts we'd done. And then the majority of it was shot in 2019. And I think all that together was only like just short of an hour. And the original short I did was pretty rough. But we thought we would use it all to make the movie. But then when Diane Franklin signed on, I was like, guys, we cannot use that original short anymore. We need to refilm it. Now that Diane Franklin's on board, we can't have that crappy first short. So we refilmed it. So altogether, I mean, even though it was kind of breaks in between, I think there was like 24 days of shooting. But like 5 of them were in 2018, and then the rest were between 2019 and 2021.
I think it makes it more impressive when you hear about, like, because, I know independent productions, they get, sometimes, because people have to work day jobs, and, a lot of times filming will be, 2 or 3 days at a time, when it, or if they have to get the budget together, they'll wait till the budget there's more of it before they go back to shoot. But the fact that I really liked about hearing this, why I asked it, was because the acting is really seamless. You can't tell that there's a gap between your first and your second, your second group of filming. It's pretty seamless.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree.
I have to credit the cast, man. They kill it. I always had fun watching them work, and sometimes I would even get chills. But they were, I got lucky. Really awesome that we had so many people locally, and eventually not so luckily with Diane. But yeah, I appreciate you guys saying that.
Do you
Um,
have a favorite character that you wrote or made?
Um, I usually have the most fun writing for Sheriff Locke,
yeah,
um, because I mean, and the part about that's so great is I will write something for Sheriff Locke, and David Ogrodowski will pick that up, and he will do it perfect. First take, he'll just read it. And I told him that. I'm like, dude, I imagined your character saying it and doing it this way in my head when I wrote it, and you picked it up, read it, and just did it, and I didn't even direct you at all. And he was like, that's a special, that's a special relationship between an actor and director, Jake. It's like, I didn't know that, but that's pretty awesome. So I'd probably have to say he's the most fun to write for.
yeah. You asked me. He says you asked me which character I like the best. And that's what I said. I said I really enjoyed the sheriff. I thought he stole every scene he was in. He was really, really good.
Yeah, he was. He was one of my favorite characters, but my favorite was the pizza man.
Yeah. Well, if you want, I'll tell you a story about him. So, I hadn't met him yet. It was one of the rare times we did a casting call, and he, he showed interest, and I watched his demo reel, and I was like, oh, this guy's cool. All right, So he showed up to set. First time I've ever met him. I say hi and everything, and he gets his makeup done. Um, and after he gets his makeup done and comes in to set, I was like, okay. I was like, here's what I'm thinking. And he's like, Jake, if you don't mind, I've prepared something. and it would be amazing if you just let me do kind of what I was thinking in my mind, and you can just tell me if you like my idea or not. And I was like, that's awesome. It was like the fact that you prepared something and put a lot of thought into it and you want to see what I think. It's like, let's do it. Go for it. And he did exactly what he did with his, hilarious screeching noises and stuff. It knocked it out of the park. I was crying. I mean, I almost ruined a few takes just because it was so unexpected, and he's like sounding like some kind of bird or something. And
That's a good sign when you make your director to lose it.
yeah.
Uh, Kitty, got another question?
So what was your so what was hard about editing it? Was it a long time for you to edit it, or was it short editing it?
Well, so we had shot a lot of new stuff in 2019, and I kept tinkering with it and tinkering with it. And then, when I thought a scene was pretty much done, then I would start adding claymation, because it's really hard to, like, you're editing and then you're like, oh wait, this scene could use some more claymation. And you're like, oh crap. Then you got to go back and reanimate. So I tried to animate as well as I could, where I knew I liked it and wouldn't have to make more claymation later. So I edited from like summer 2019 until January 2020, where I thought we would just do our last pickups after that and be done. And well, obviously the pandemic happened, and I was like, well, I'm not rushing this anymore, because everybody's scared, and I know I'm not going to get to film another movie soon. I have this footage I can tinker with and do the best I possibly can. And so I just kept editing it. And I mean, I kept editing it and adding claymation from 2019 all the way until it finally released in October of 2021. I mean, I would edit it, let, my producers and critical friends watch it and give me their thoughts, and then I'd go back and try to cut more or add more depending on what they said. And it is hard, Katie, because you know how hard it was to shoot something, and you do tend to get precious with, like, you really like this moment, and like the cast was happy in this moment, but then later on you find out it's not essential to the story, and it might not be interesting to someone who wasn't on set, and they tell you need to cut it, and you're like, oh no, and you have to cut it. Or someone, you have a friend who has a scene and they're really excited about their scene, but then you realize it's kind of not needed and you probably should get rid of it so the movie isn't too long. So there were tough decisions like that, but yeah, I edited it for probably 2 years as we shot it, and yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I was going to ask. I was going to ask you this. I mean, as far as the editing goes, did you think about? Have you ever used another director to do your editing? Have you ever considered anything like that?
That'd be cool. I mean, excuse me. That's kind of the thing is, I'm I created my own opportunity. A lot of times if you are new to acting or directing, um, you gotta build you gotta build street cred if you're doing things, the studio way, the big budget way. You gotta start as a production assistant and work your way up. But in the indie world, if you have enough passion and you got a project people believe in, you can make your own opportunity. You can make your own movie, and get people involved. And I forgot the question.
Well, let me ask you this. How about this? How did you pitch this movie when you were putting together the budget for it? How did you pitch it to the executive producers or investors?
Well, see, that's the thing. I didn't have any. I worked a lot of double shifts. I mean, that's it. I paid for the movie myself, by just picking up as many extra shifts as I could, and a lot of people helped me out with locations, or Some actors even volunteered. If you know, I'm not sure a lot of investors would have invested on such a goofy, fun idea. So it really was just kind of, I willed it into existence with the help of all these awesome people uh, who I would tell about the idea to, and talk to them about it, and get them interested. So in the future, oh man, if Clay Zombies presented more opportunities to work on other films, and someone wanted to edit one of my movies, that'd be pretty cool. But I basically, since it was my first feature, I had to edit it myself, which I
You did a
enjoy
great
it.
job, though. You did a great job, though, editing it.
Did a
It
nice.
looks, hmm it looks really good. Because as YouTubers, we also edit videos. Well, I do. I just learned how to edit. I'm not very good at it, but I just learned, and I appreciate filmmaking for what it is, like how it edits from post production to the production and everything else, because it takes time to do all that, and especially if you're indie film. That's why I like indie films more than like mainstream films.
Yeah, you can appreciate the art more watching an indie film.
Mm-hmm.
If they're, I mean, I don't want to mistake passion for ability. I mean, you got a lot of independent filmmakers that are really passionate. I mean, they really are. But there's a lot of them out there too that don't have your skill either, and sometimes that clashes, especially because I'm a believer of short films being a director's best friend, because that helps the director learn his craft. You know,
Absolutely.
I always hold my breath when I see someone say, "This is my first. This is my debut feature film," and you wonder, well, how many shorts have you done? Well, no, I haven't. This is my feature film debut. And I just hold my breath because most of the time there's a lot of bumps and bruises there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's the sad part about indie film, kind of a lot of times too, is you would not believe how many movies I've heard of that are still on the cutting room floor that just never got finished. And I mean, that's why it's so cool when a movie does come out, because most don't. And there's a lot of cool indie movies coming from Pittsburgh, and like you got, and thanks for saying Ohio too. And the cool thing about indie movies is you don't have a board of directors telling you what to do. You can kind of do, weirder, more interesting ideas. Like uh, so like, I'm saying, I don't know if Clay Zombies would have passed a standard board of directors at Warner Brothers. Probably not.
Right.
Especially now. Oh,
Yeah.
we love the movie, but we're going to cancel it, just like we did Batwoman.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
professor had a question, Patrick.
Yeah, I saw that. Our good friend the professor asked, "Does having investors take away from the creative control on our project?"
Um, well, I guess it depends on kind of what kind of investors you have. Like a lot of us, or not us, I didn't do this route. I funded it myself, but a lot of people who do Kickstarter, they get the money from
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter donations, and technically the Kickstarter uh, people community have no say. They helped fund the movie, but they don't really have a say. I'm sure the filmmakers hope they don't disappoint those people, but they can kind of still do whatever they want. As far as real big budget Hollywood movies go, um, I don't have too many friends in the industry, but it does sound like, um, from what I've heard, that executive producers can hand choose the
Mm-hmm.
actresses and actors, and a lot of times will tell the director, well, if you want your money, you're taking this actress or actor, and if you don't, then we're getting a new director. So that they can, very much change your vision. Kind of like Tim Burton had someone completely indifferent in mind for the Joker than Jack Nicholson, but the studio was like, no, it's going to be Jack Nicholson. So
Mm-hmm.
I,
That is true.
Yeah, I think that works until the director gets his own clout. Then it can pretty much the other way around. Then the director will handpick
Mm-hmm.
what they want, and If
That's
they
true,
don't like
Patrick.
it. Yeah.
No one's going to tell Chris Nolan what to do.
No.
Right.
No. What kind of reaction as far as have you gotten from Clay Zombies? What kind of have you got any interest from any other from anybody else coming up to you and saying, you know what, I have a script I think maybe we should work on together? Has the door been open for you for other opportunities because of Clay Zombies?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of cool independent a lot of cool independent movies I've talked to, and other indie directors. We've talked about different projects and things like that. As far as like Hollywood things, not really. I'm not sure how much I'd be interested, just because um, I really like making indie films. I like uh, the community, and I like being able to have more creative control with the cast and the crew. Um, I mean, I haven't been on too many bigger budget sets, but it's just like a different dynamic. It's much more sterile. It's much more, you're over here, we're over there. You don't do this, you don't do that. And in an indie film, everybody comes together and helps, and there's like a uh, more there's more of a community where like everybody can say if they have an idea. Um, but we'll see. The people who like Clay Zombies really like it, and like I really appreciate you guys saying you like it. And the people who don't, well, they really don't.
I'm sure. They don't get it. That's why they don't like it.
Have you gotten how the reviews been for it, Jake? They must have been pretty positive.
There are some. The problem is most people who enjoy films, they watch a film, enjoy it, and then they kind of move on with their day. I feel like the people who don't enjoy movies and are more critical go on IMDb and the other sites and leave reviews. That being said, there's a lot of great positive reviews from people who like to have fun and enjoy goofy comedy and humor. And then the critics who don't like it, they don't really like to have fun. They don't like things like the new Monsters movie or goofy stuff like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. They think it's stupid, which that's not who it's made for anyway. If you're a person who only watches Oscar movies, I hope you like it, but it wasn't made for you. It's made for people who like to have fun with their friends and have a laugh and like want to feel good at the end of the movie, and like larger than life heroes and quirky characters. So it's but yeah. So
yeah, I agree with that. I just I couldn't imagine anybody who says that they love horror. I really can't understand. I couldn't be able to understand anybody who said they're like a horror fan watching this movie and not liking it. I'm just like, wow, this is a movie that we need, because it's just because of the heart that was made in making it, and taking a very tired genre and putting a fresh twist on it. That's what I really appreciate more than anything else, what you've done here. The story, if you take away the claymation, the story itself, here comes zombie. You substitute the claymation for people, then you got another Walking Dead, and we've already seen that. But for you to go ahead and put out do the the clay zombies, and do the animation or whatnot, it made it so different. It made it so unique, and I think that's really what I liked so much about it. It was a fresh take on a very old genre, and it was highly original. And hats off to you for that. I mean, that's not easy coming up with something different in this day and age, because you look around and that's what you hear. You hear that from all the people from all the time. I wish they would do something new. Well, you know what? Here he has. So watch it and love it. And if you open your mouth against it, then why are you complaining about? Don't catch me here and you sit there and say, well, It's such a. I wish they do something new, because when someone does something new, and you shit on it, then you lose. Then you lose credibility from me.
I thank you for saying that, Patrick. And you know what? I want to say something real quick because I know you understand because your best pal Cheetah. Um, that was another big inspiration for the film. Is in zombie movies, uh, I never saw anybody talk about their pets or go
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I need to go home and get my pet." And that was a big inspiration too. I was like, I want there to be a character who cares so much about their dog that they go, back for them in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you never see that in zombie movies. You're
No, you
right,
don't.
and you always wonder, well, what happens to the dogs and the cats? I've always suspected they're all hiding out somewhere, just
Yeah,
waiting for
yeah,
zombies to die. Because you never see them get caught. No one's ever. I've never seen a zombie movie where they're eating a dog or a cat. Um,
Mhm.
they've already head for the hills.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure Cheetah would be fine. He'd just be like hiding in a tree or something.
That's why I asked this. Would the cheetah be like immune? Maybe he'd be immune to the clay. Touch the clay, have a very bad day.
Yeah, I love that. I love that like line in there. That was such a great line. And I quote it like my coworkers
Mhm.
are like, "What the heck are you talking about?"
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
use that today on my Instagram for my for those little notes they have now. So that's what I put down there. I said, "You touch the clay, have a very bad day."
My coworkers are like looking at me like, "What in the heck are you talking about?"
Thanks.
Well,
Yeah. That,
another really cool thing too, we got to talk about this too, is that because a lot of independent filmmakers, they're losing this ability, but you are making it available, and that is, people want to buy this on Blu-ray or DVD. You're letting them to do that. You're able to sell them the movie. Uh, that's really cool. What made you decide to do that? To take that on? Uh, to allow the public to have physical media copies of the movie.
yeah, I mean, physical media is like just my favorite. I love it. It's my favorite way to watch movies. I've got like all my favorite movies on Blu-ray and some on DVD that aren't on Blu-ray yet, and now I'm starting on 4K.
Right, right.
Uh, so it was like no question that was the number one platform I wanted to do. One thing I do every year is I pop in the Warriors DVD and or Blu-ray in this case, I guess, and I watch the movie, and then afterwards I watch the little documentary about it, and it's like a 4-part documentary on the disc or something like that, and I just love it. And so I wanted to do that for Clay Zombies. Unfortunately, I don't have a documentary filmed, but I did try to put as much on it as I could. I got bloopers, a Q&A at the premiere where Diane Franklin was and Fire Tiger was, and um, you know, uh, the actors and Anastasia Delby in the movie. Becky uh, Becky Rue does a Q&A. So I try to put as much on it as I could. So if someone enjoyed Clay Zombies, they could buy it on Blu-ray and have the same experience I do with my movies and like the Warriors. Uh, yeah, I just love Blu-ray. So I was like, I have to make this possible. So my distribution company is digital only, and I emailed them and I was like, well, am I okay to make Blu-rays? And they said, yeah. Like we don't like most distribution companies don't even care about physical stuff anymore. Go for it. I was like, okay. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, got the Blu-rays.
Uh, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. You mentioned that. You mentioned. I just put down the website down, so people can check that out. Uh, yeah. So how did it work out with what was it like working with a distributor? I mean, did they put the or did they put the movie on Tubi for you, or did you go through them for that, or did you go to Tubi directly? How does that work?
If I could have gone to Tubi directly, I probably would have because what I did first was I put my film on Amazon Prime. And the thing with me is like I'm not in it for like the money, That's kind of why I made such a goofy, niche, hilarious movie is just because it's what I wanted to do. If I was in it for the money, I probably would have. made like a crazy slasher or something more along those lines. But anyway, Amazon quit letting indie films be on the platform with you remember how on Prime you used to be able to watch like
Yeah.
any movie free with Prime? Well, if
Yeah.
you're an indie movie now, Amazon said, go away. You're only allowed to be on our platform if people buy on demand. And I was like, oof. So
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not
yeah.
good.
And I wanted people to be able to watch it for free. I mean, I'm not in it for like, oh, I want to make the big bucks. You got to pay $1 million to watch it. But so I was like, well, I want it to be free. So, and I ended up finding out the only way was through a distributor. I couldn't contact Tubi on my own. So that's why I ended up going with a distributor.
And it happens, but it's good though, and it's good that people could actually get to your movie more, and the more views you get, the more maybe popular it will get, even though that it is now a cult classic. But even more and more people can get to it once they type it in if they like zombie movies.
Yeah, that's the hope. I hope people will, take a chance on it on Tubi, and there. I mean, there's a lot of really cool indie stuff on Tubi. A lot of cool indie stuff on Tubi.
There is.
Um, the professor one, oh, so you put down for the comment for the special features. I thought House mentioned another movie up here. We're talking about some movies, and I think he mentioned the Inhuman Witch. Ohio seems to be a really hotbed now of making fun cult films. I mean, I mentioned a couple of them: Clown Town, Attack of the Killer Donuts, uh, Inhuman Witch. Now Clay Zombies. Uh, do you go around to do you go around the state? Do you talk to other filmmakers in the state? Um, as far as making films go, like networking and whatnot. Is there such a thing in Ohio that happens?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of my networking is either been where I've met people at like a local film festival here, um, uh, or like there's festivals in Cincinnati too, all over the state where I've kind of met people. But a lot of the networking mostly happens in like Facebook groups. Like I had an actress message me and she just said, like, how can I get into the local indie scene? And I was like, just hop on Facebook and join a filmmaking group and introduce yourself. And there will be auditions on these groups, and just audition. I mean, it's easier than people think. You just put yourself out there, make sure to stay safe, don't take a creepy audition or like something vague.
Yeah,
But
if someone asks you for money or they ask you for any nudity, run the other way.
run, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I've made a lot of really cool connections with people in Pittsburgh as well. That's the thing. The Pittsburgh film community and the Ohio film community is surprisingly interwoven. Like we'll go work on each other's projects, and um,
Yeah, we know a couple of filmmakers from Pittsburgh. Steve and Arlene Brzezinski. They made the Carousel movies.
oh yeah, okay. I've been pronouncing his last name wrong. Yeah, that's awesome. He's got a really cool passionate indie fan base, and
Yeah.
I thought Carousel was wild.
So do we. Yeah, Carousel was absolute. I'm still trying to process the second one, but the first one's crazy as hell.
I
Yeah,
still haven't seen those.
It's Steve and Arlene are we think they're amazing filmmakers. They're amazing artists. Yes. So yeah, have you had a chance to meet either one of them?
um, I know you talked about Steve. I haven't got to meet him. Who was the other person?
Arlene.
I don't think I've got to meet her yet.
Oh yeah, you should do that. They're really great people. Hop's got questions for you. Uh, uh, I think one for sure. Yes. You met Henrique Kudo. Uh,
Henry,
how about or Mary Lee Osborne or Aaron Ryan?
I haven't got to meet Mary Lee Osborne. I've seen her in a few movies, and the people, and I've worked with actors and actresses who've worked with her, and they like her a lot, and only have good things to say. I haven't got to work with her. The other two, I unfortunately haven't got to work with.
So what are you
Chris
working on
Wilson.
now?
I'm kind of in a weird spot. Actually, this weekend I'll be filming the a Clay Zombies Christmas that'll come out next Christmas. It'll probably be about 15 minutes or a little shorter. It'll just be a nice little Christmas thing. And we'll see, but there may be a we're still trying to figure it out, but there may be a potential vampiric spin on the Clay Zombies franchise in the future, but we're only I'm still writing a script for that, and I'm not too sure if that will happen. I'm only like 23 pages in so far.
How about you, Katie?
No, I'm excited. I would totally watch that short, the Christmas short. I love anything Christmas, so I would totally watch it. And I would watch the other one that you're writing as well. I would watch anything. You just send it to me, I'll watch it. I'll give you my honest opinion.
Well, you'll have to send that to you'll have to send the Clay Zombie short to a Hallmark and see it's Hey, Lacey Severa, come here. We got something new for you.
Oh, could you imagine?
I totally imagine the look on her face.
Yeah, she would. That would be interesting.
Hey, but she did play in Mean Girls, so there you go.
Yeah, you never know. You've done a couple other movies too, right? You produced Treasure of the Ninja 2, who you mentioned earlier, and then you are El Endunde. What was El Endunde about?
Oh yeah. So my friend Gabe Kirk, who plays Emilio in the movie, the bad guy who ends up being the cult leader. He is actually also a Spanish interpreter, and he speaks very fluent Spanish. Obviously, he has to because he's a translator, so that was kind of dumb of me to say. But anyway, he was like, "Hey, I'd love to make a film in Spanish, and will you, do some of the cinematography and maybe edit it?" So I ended up doing a lot of the camera work for it, and it's about a guy who is it's about an FBI agent who's interrogating a guy accused of killing a little girl, but he says he did not kill her. She was actually ripped apart by a evil spirit called El Duende, and that's kind of what the story is on that. And it's an all Spanish, like I think it's between 9 and 15-minute short film. So it was pretty neat. I didn't understand anything anybody was saying while I filmed it, but it's really cool.
That seems really cool. I would watch it and watch the subtitles to it. I know a little bit of Spanish, but that sounds really interesting. I would watch it though.
Un poco español.
Yes.
I think the only Spanish I know is Taco Bell, burrito, burrito.
That's not Spanish.
Taco.
Well, that's
taco.
enough to get by on. I mean,
well, I can't go up to anybody and say, "Hey, puta," what's going, "Viva la raza, puto," that might get me shot.
That probably would. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I know. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
No, ¿Cómo estás, pendejo? What? It's like the old 70s comics, Cheech and Chong, and they had a skit where they had a part in one of the movies where Cheech is telling Chong all these bad words to say in Spanish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get stuck, their car gets stuck, and all these people come over to him, and also he starts talking to him like he thinks he's saying hi, but he's actually cursing them out. And Cheech is like, "No, shut up, shut up, shut up."
Yeah. So what movie inspired it to be a comedy? Did a certain movie inspire it to be a comedy, or do you just like comedies, or do you like horror and comedies?
Yeah, I do. well, so I'm not like the biggest horror fan. I mostly like the zombie movies just because it's like, like I kind of said earlier, it's like these situations where like a diverse group of people who would normally never, hang out have to fight the zombies together. And so a lot of the Romero zombie movies inspired it. But the comedy movies, I'd have to say, I grew up watching a show. I don't know if you'll know it, Katie, but I watched a lot of TV Land, and it's an older
I
show.
did
It's
too.
called Get Smart, and
Yes,
it's
I
like
watched that.
and me and my dad. Listen, yeah, it's like one of me and my dad's favorite shows, and I just loved the way it was deadpan and so goofy. Um,
That's a good one.
so
Yeah,
it inspired by that, and those goofy movies with Leslie Nielsen, and just things like that.
See, Echo's asking if you want to drink a beer together.
Let's go for it. I wish my cup had some.
I'm probably just stopped. I just probably shocked him by me by me looking at that and reading it.
yeah. I knew that's what that meant too.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, did I miss something?
huh?
Yeah,
No. He's saying it's the hola amigo. What he's doing is asking you to have if you want to have a beer.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I was like,
Cerveza is beer.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's What are some of your favorite? What are some of your as far as your peers go? Who's some of your favorite directors and that you like, or who would you like to if you could dream cast your next movie? Like they came to you and said, "Hey, we want to do Clay Zombies, but you can cast whoever you want in it." Would you do anything different, or would there be some stunt casting? Would you cast some heavier hitters?
There, I'd maybe try to cast some heavier hitters. I mean, if there are some people in mind in the indie world that I would definitely like to work with sometime. I don't know if you guys have heard of Lynn Kabazinski, but definitely would think it'd be cool to to work with him on something sometime. Or one filmmaker who is doing really cool in Pittsburgh right now, doing some cool features. His name's like Zane Hirschberger.
I've heard
Um,
of him.
he did like a really cool 80s movie called Forced to Fear, and stuff like that. It's just got like cool vibes and stuff. There's all kinds of actors that out there that I'd love to work with. I've always got in the back of my mind. I'll be on Instagram and see an actor in another indie film, and I'll think, oh man, that'd be so cool. Um, my head is mostly still in the indie world. I don't really think about having somebody like Tom Cruise or anybody like that.
I think Tom Cruise would be too much. Oh, did I say that? Oops.
Yeah. What? Right? Yeah. It's only room. There's only room for one danger on this set.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Uh, and speaking of that, how did you get the nickname of Danger?
Um, wow. I'd love to tell you guys that story, but I just unfortunately can't. It is too dangerous to talk about. But I appreciate you asking.
Well, hold on. Let me turn on the cone of silence. And
No, but that's a nice nickname though. That's a pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, I believe that was also one of Maxwell Smart's middle names was Danger.
yeah,
So
yeah, I think it was. I think he used that a couple of times. Oh, I think it's great though. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, I think it's smart, man. That series was absolutely a joy. So goofy. Uh, oh, congratulations. Oh, hello, final boss. How are you? Um, so so as far as going next, so of course, play zombies, the Christmas short you're working on. Are you writing on any other? You gonna go? Are you gonna stay in your wheelhouse, or are you gonna try to do something a little different as far as feature films go? You're gonna get out there and try. maybe a straight out drama or suspense movie?
Yeah, I have. That's why I said I'm kind of at a weird spot because you know, I don't know. Doing Clay Zombie sequel would be awesome just because I love working with everybody so much and the cast is so awesome and we like working together. We want to work together again. But there are other things I like to do. I do have another way more serious script. It's
Mhm.
kind of odd. It's like got Twin Peaks vibes and has a lot of dreamlike sequences and I take more chances and it's kind of more artsy fartsy, but it would be pretty neat. It'd be a challenge. That's what's doing drama is kind of scary because with a fun goofy movie, you can have a lot more fun with it. But if you are trying for a straight drama, um, that's pretty tough because if you're not 100% in it, it's going to get panned and quick because people aren't having fun with it because it's so serious and there's a lot more at stake I think with the acting.
Yeah, you got any more questions, Katie? I'm gonna turn around and ask the chat if they have any questions for our guest, Jake Jolley. Go ahead and start asking some more questions, and yeah, so go ahead and drop them in the chat, and then we'll get to them.
Yeah, what kind of camera did you use? Did you use like a digital camera or did you use just like a regular camera?
Yeah, I used the Panasonic GH5, and it is a digital camera, and we used multiple lenses for it, prime lenses and wide lenses, and I think we might have used one or two anamorphic. But yeah, the whole movie and the claymation was shot on a Panasonic GH5.
That's really cool. I have one of those. I love it.
Nice. Yeah, it's really cool. The coolest thing about those two is it's got the internal stabilization, so you can basically run with those and you can still get a pretty usable shot.
Yeah, cuz I really love cinema photography. It's like my hobby and I used to take like a lot of pictures, so cinema photography is just like something I love and when I watch a movie I just like love it. Like you did really well with the cinema photography in this movie.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
See, we got Chadwick wants to connect with you. We do have all your socials listed down in the description box, so people want to reach out and say hi to you on Instagram. They can do that.
Yeah.
If they want to buy a copy of Clay Zombies, they can do that as well. And also keep up with whatever Jake is working on next. We also listed your IMDb page down there as well, so people can stay connected with Jake all year round.
Yeah, come say hi. I appreciate anybody interested in my work or Clay Zombies. Yeah, feel free to say hello. Always, willing to talk or, whatever.
Now, what city are you located in Ohio?
And glorious Columbus.
Okay. So you're in the northern part of the state, right?
Um, yeah, it's kind of central north-ish. Yeah. And that's kind of the interesting thing too, Patrick, is like there's like different film communities in different part of Ohio. There's like the Columbus, and then there's the Dayton, and then there's the Cleveland, and then there's the Cincinnati. There's not like a rivalry or anything, but there are like certain kind of little pocket groups, and we all
Really?
communicate. But
I was going to say there couldn't be. It can't. I've never heard of cliques within a movie community. I just thought it was
yeah.
one. Is there like that? Are there people who only will stick with their own like their own group?
I don't think it's intentional. I think it's more of a work closer together, let's work with each other thing. But yeah, no, I was mostly just being goofy when I said that. Because as I was naming the different parts of Ohio, I was starting to think it sounded like the beginning of the Warriors, where it was showing all the
Right.
different games.
That's such a good movie though.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Hobbs. Now you found out that there's a movie area in Dayton, Ohio. That's where Hobbs is from. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, he's been wanting to break into movies for a long time. So, in fact, he's gone to a couple of conventions. Have you been? Have you taken the Clay Zombies to a convention yet?
I haven't, and I would like to go and meet people and see talk to people about Clay Zombies or go see other films and talk to other people. Honestly, between work and I mean, it was basically two full-time jobs for years. Where if I wasn't working my day job, I was editing Clay Zombies. If I wasn't at my day job, doing something for Clay Zombies to get the movie done. So I'm at a weird spot now where I'm not working full time on a film again currently. So I could go to a convention. It sounds fun. I would like to go to one.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. And one of the most important things you have that would make you an attractive guest, you have something to sell.
Yep.
You actually have people can actually go out there and buy a copy of your movie and go home with it. Instead of like, oh, it's on Tubi. Okay, I want to. It's like that's great, but I'd like to have a physical copy.
That's the thing is like one of my favorite indie movies is called the Velocipaster. I don't know if you guys have
Oh
seen that.
yeah, I love
Oh
that
yeah,
one
oh yeah,
from Wild Eye. Yeah, I love that one. I did a
yeah.
review on it actually.
Any of those guys I'd love to work with. I mean, I
And
just love that movie to death. If I'm having a terrible, terrible day, I'll put in the Velocipaster and it's just like my blues go away. Um,
uh,
I have it on DVD because Wild Eye
he
sent it to me.
he Brendan Steer has taken a long time to he did a Kickstarter or whatnot, and he was asking for like I think initially he was asking for like 12,000
yeah.
for the second movie. He got that like in a matter of days. He got and then but nothing's ever happened since then. I see rumblings or whatnot, but it's like pictures and whatnot. But I haven't seen news of a full release yet. Uh,
Of
A Velocipaster too.
Velocipaster 2.
yeah.
So they just did a Kickstarter where they tried to get $250,000 and they knew they weren't going to make it. I think they had raised, I don't want to lie, I can't remember what it was. I think it was 90,000 or something. So they changed the goal to I think 98,000. They did another and they made it. So I think they said they're going to film Velocipaster 2
It's the end of the
this
year.
like this either I think you're right, Patrick. It's like summer or fall. I think they're filming
Yeah.
Velocipaster 2.
It
I,
took
I
so
of
long.
course contributed to that.
But you know what's funny? I will give Brendan. I will say this about Brendan. Because I mean, there's a lot of times where someone will get a smaller budget, and then they turn around and they spend that money right away on their movie. And I will give credit for Brendan for this. I know he's been stockpiling the cash, but I think that's because he's going to try to. He knows what he can do. That scene where the car blew up and he didn't have enough money for the effects, so he said, "Car blows up here." You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah.
I think what he's trying to do is make sure that for his movie, he wants to make sure that he has enough budget to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I can't blame him for that. I just it's just that the moviegoers are so fickle. You hope that you get a response to the second movie like Terrifier did. That was a long time for the second one to get made too, and luckily for everybody that it did really really well. And I do believe that the Velocipaster 2 will do very well as well.
I think
It's a
so.
fun movie. It's a fun movie.
I mean, they're I feel like they like being silly. I follow them on social media. They love having a good time. They know they're making a fun movie, and they like making fun movies. I think it's going to be awesome. They got a lot of passion for it, and that I think they're proof that an indie movie can be, awesome, if not
Mm-hmm.
better than a lot of, multi-million-dollar blockbusters. I mean, I'd rather watch Velocipaster than most movies. It's just, I think it's that good. So,
Mm. Uh, well, I think we should think about wrapping this up. Want to thank everybody coming out and hanging out with us tonight, especially you, Jake. And thank you for talking to us about. It's a wonderful movie. Like I said, it's an instant cult classic to me. This is a movie that, you'll find yourself breaking it out whenever friends come over and you want to watch a fun movie. You just instantly see yourself grabbing it and saying, "Watch this," and everybody having a great time watching it.
Right.
This is just watch along parties or what have you. Definitely can see that happening. This is just a fun film, filmed with a lot of heart. And that's really what I appreciate. Diane Franklin coming in there and seeing her again. Like I said, she's iconic.
Oh yeah.
Nice seeing her doing something different and having a lot of fun doing it. And you yourself are true gentlemen, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me and Katie.
Oh gosh, Patrick, I can't tell you enough. Like what you just said, it's honestly the biggest compliment I could take. Word for word, I told a friend, I said, I just hope that someone one day says it's a great party movie and a lot of fun. That's all I really like is good feedback like that. So it really means a lot to me. I appreciate you saying that. And I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys will have me back. Loved meeting you guys and hanging out and talking. And I think it flew by.
Yeah, it did fly by. All the really good interviews always seem to fly by, which is why I'm always trying to catch up at the end of it because I always have such a fun time doing this. And it was fun having Katie come on and hanging out with us again too.
Thank you for having me on. And Jake, it was a pleasure having you and talking to you and actually meeting you. And besides just texting you.
Yeah. And nice to meet you, Katie. And thank you for your YouTube review as well. And
You're welcome.
Once again, Patrick, really appreciate you and the cheetah letting me into the cheetah cave.
That's right. No problem. This was a lot of fun. I want to thank the chat for coming out and hanging out with us. Before I go, before I let you guys go, let me quickly read off what's coming up next week. I got to tell you that at 10 o'clock tonight, the Midnight Hour will be being held on Echo Zero's channel. Echo will be hosting the Midnight Hour tonight at 10 o'clock. Next week here on the show, it's already the second half of the month. On the 15th, me and Katie will be back on the 15th, actually. We will be back on Sunday at 3 p.m. because me and Katie are going to be talking about a Hallmark movie. We're going to be covering the Wedding Veil trilogy.
That's go.
Right. That's right. Let's go.
I can hear the bells ringing.
It will be on my channel, by the way, guys. It will be on my channel.
That was a lot. That actually was a really fun trilogy, and I really enjoyed it.
I actually bought it for him. We were talking like backstage after like a show, and I actually bought it for him.
Yeah, because I was looking for it to go down in price, and I'm like, oh, still a little bit high, because I shop used. And she goes, no, don't worry about it. Next thing I know, it's like sitting on my doorstep. And it was a lot of fun. So we're going to cover that on Sunday the 15th at 3 p.m. on Popping the Popcorn's channel. And then at 8 o'clock, we have all night hanging out with the Strangers. Me, John Grande, Gory B Movie, and Danny Nightmare will be here on Sunday night at 8 p.m. to talk about the Strangers. They're all going over to Gory's channel at 10 o'clock, 10:30 to watch this, to talk about the Strangers. Pray at Night. Next Monday, I'll be joined by special co-host The Bat. Al Ducard will be with us as we are interviewing Deborah Sullivan, who contributed a story to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. She's also a screenwriter, and she also starred in Secret Santa and a bunch of other cool stuff. We'll be talking Secret Santa and other good stuff. On the Monday at 8 o'clock. On Tuesday, the 17th, we have stand-up comedian and cult survivor Sarah Dunn will be here. She's got a fascinating story, really interesting story. One that I hope everybody will come out to watch. Wednesday, the 18th, we will be talking to Nia Caitlin Ketstever. Will be here on the 18th at 8 o'clock. All right, that's what I had to do.
Nice.
I had to take care of that business. All right. Everybody else, thanks for so much for coming out. We will see you. We'll either see you on midnight hour in 20 minutes or so, or we will see you Sunday at 3 p.m. on Katie's channel. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Stay right where you're at, both of you, and to the chat. Thank you for coming out again.
Bye,
Till the
guys.
next one.
Don't touch the clay.
Yeah, or have a very bad day.